Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Amar Ariantino. I'm in the fourth semester. In this opportunity, I will explain about the mind map that I've done, and the topic is educational psychologist theories. Okay, I want to show you the mind map. Actually, I did not make it in Canva nor your mention on the video, but I use Pixel Lab to create this mind map. Uh, there is no differentiation between those who use Canva and those who use Pixel Lab, but the result and our creativity is the key to make a good mind map. Uh, okay, this is the mind map that I've done. Maybe you can see it clearly because I show this in the little screen. Uh, Later I will put in a in a big screen. Actually, the topic is educational psychologist theory. Uh, okay, next we go to the definition of educational psychological theories. So, what is educational physiologist theories? Educational psychologists study learning context both within and beyond traditional classroom and evaluate ways in which factors uh, such as age, culture, gender, and physical and social environments influence human learning. They leverage educational theory uh, and practice based on the latest research related to human development to understand the emotional, cognitive, and social aspect of human learning. Uh, Educational psychology can influence programs, curricula, and lesson development as well as classroom management approach. For example, educators can use concept from educational psychology to understand and address the ways rapidly changing technologies both help and harm their students' learning. In addition, educational psychologists play an important role in educating teachers, parents, um, and administrator about best practice for learners who struggle with conventional education methods. The point is, um, learning psychology is the study of the principles of human behavior in their application to learning and learning. In other words, um, learning psychology contributes the teacher when they carry out teaching texts in the classroom so that it appears in their performance when teaching by considering the psychological principles of students. Okay, next we go to uh, okay, next there are several types of learning theories that can be applied in academic file. Each theory keeps its own principles. The story aims to describe the relationship between students, activities, and psychological process of or phenomena that occur in students. First is psychoanalysis. Is a type of therapy that aims to release pent-up or repressed emotion or memories in or to lead the client to catharsis or healing. In other words, the goal of psychoanalysis is to bring what is exists and at the unconscious or subconscious level up to consciousness. Ideas of psychology analysis are called the model of the mind. Ma'am, I'm really sorry because I got the problem with my mobile phone's camera, so I have to continue this video using voice recording only. I'm really sorry. Uh, let's continue to the topic. Uh, Ideas of psychoanalysis are called the model of the mind. Uh, First is ID. The ID operates at an unconscious level and focuses solely on instinctual drives and desires. Two biological instincts that make up the ID, according to Freud, eros, or the instinct to survive that drives us to engage in life-sustaining activities, and thanatos, or the death instinct that drives destructive, aggressive, and violent behavior. And the second is the ego. The ego acts as both a conduit for a check on the ID, working to meet the ID's needs in a socially appropriate way. It is the most tied to reality and begins to develop in infancy. And the last is superego. The superego is the portion of the mind in which morality and higher principles reside, encouraging us to act in socially and morally acceptable ways. And the next, is cognitivism. Cognitivism is intellectual potential which consists of the stage of knowledge, understanding, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. For example, in a lesson, students are able to find a problem and find their own solution to the problem. And next is humanism. Humanism is learning with humanistic techniques, seeks learning that can develop students' knowledge in terms of creation, imagination, experience, institution, feeling, infantasizing. The aspect that is emphasized in this learning is emotional aspect, which is then seen as something that provides benefits in learning and education. The example of the application of this learning theory is the teacher give a reward to the student who have done something or achieved something that makes school proud of. The next is behaviorism. Behaviorism is an approach to knowing or understanding individual behavior. According to B.F. Skinner, behaviorism learning theory is the relationship between the stimulus and the response indicated by the individual or subject occurs through interaction with the environment. Next is ecological. Ecological is a science that studies the interaction between living things and other living things and their surrounding. Uh, in environmental science, ecological is made up of the basic science for understanding interaction in the environment. According to a social cultural line of reasoning, the individual actively relates to environments of various nature. Uh, it can, for instance, like social, economic, cultural, personal, institutional, and those relationships then become internalized to form part of how a person knows and develops. And then the last is Islamic education. So what is Islamic education? Uh, Islamic education in Islam is twofold: acquiring intellectual knowledge through the application of reason and logic, and developing spiritual knowledge. According to the worldview of Islam, uh, provision in education must be made equally for both. Acquiring knowledge in Islam is not intended as an end, but as a means to stimulate a more elevated moral and spiritual consciousness, leading to faith and righteous action. Okay, that was the theory about educational psychology, and those were I can explain. I hope you understand what I mean. I want to say sorry because uh, I have to explain in a voice recording, not the small screen that I explain the material. So I want to say sorry if my explanation doesn't clear enough to be understood, and I want to say sorry if I made mistake both verbally and mannerly. Maybe enough. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.